What's happening, traders and investors? It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, and interviews. Today is Monday, February 6th. Hope you're well. And in this video, going to be going over a topic that a lot of people are asking me, why are MJ stocks taking this long to bottom out? And I'm going to compare MJ versus crypto. I know a lot of people don't really like when you do that, but I'm not really going to do what people want me to do. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And I'm just going to be honest with everybody and share my thoughts and opinions. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, and you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. So again, why are MJ stocks taking so long to bottom out, and comparing the cycles of MJ versus crypto? And the big reason, spoiler alert, is because of big pharma, big tobacco, big alcohol, right? The incumbents that are most threatened by this new, industry and emerging, burgeoning market. And it's because they have the most to lose, right? It's the same thing with crypto. The incumbents there are the banks, right? What do we know about crypto? Crypto is a disruptive technology that is, really affecting the traditional banks and things like that, the intermediaries, and the traditional payment system, right? And crypto is all about no intermediaries, peer-to-peer, and no central authority governing a new payment system, right? So with traditional finance, there's always intermediaries, right? There's banks that profit greatly off of this, and they have the most to lose. So versus crypto and crypto versus MJ, the ones with the most to lose are big pharma, big tobacco, big alcohol. And the ones in crypto with the most to lose are the banks, right? The intermediaries, the banks, which exactly crypto is set out to replace, right? So in my opinion, that is why it's taking so long for prices to bottom out. And we know that, crypto has seen, its trials and tribulations. But one thing that I will mention as well is crypto isn't a federal, a Schedule 1 federally illegal drug in the US. So, what do I think about crypto and MJ long term? I think they're the two most highest risk asset classes on the planet, both very high risk, but high reward as well. Personally, I think MJ isn't going to offer as much opportunity at such a grand scale, because crypto is literally dealing with all the money. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of trillions of dollars that could flow into that space. The MJ space will struggle to get to even $1 or $2 trillion, which I think is attainable, but it likely won't happen for at least a decade or two, right? So I think that overall, crypto has the biggest potential in terms of just overall, market cap and the amount of money flowing into the space. But that doesn't mean that there's not going to be opportunities with MJ. But again, one thing to remind ourselves is that MJ is an illegal drug in the US and isn't really under the same level playing field at the moment. So not, comparing apples to apples, it's obviously apples to oranges, but there are some key differentiators there. So again, just to kind of drive my point home and to go a bit further here, the next generation BlackRock CEO reveals $8 trillion fund, their fund's huge crypto prediction after Bitcoin and Ethereum price crash. So BlackRock essentially runs the world. They have, I think like $10 trillion under management or something like that. But yeah, huge player in the finance industry, and pretty much got their hands in everything. And what's happening here is, we've seen in 2018 where JP Morgan said that, Bitcoin's rat poison. And if any of their traders were caught talking crypto, trading crypto, even talking about it, they'd be fired, right? And then it was later found out that JP Morgan, these Wall Street banks, right, they were the ones buying the most of it. And we know that JP Morgan has been fined billions of dollars for manipulating precious metals, right? Like spoofing the price of gold and silver. So if they're doing this to precious metals, if they're doing this to crypto, might you think that they're doing the same thing to MJ, right? And like I said, we're starting to see them pivot. Now JPM's making JPM coin, right? They're capitulating, they're getting into the crypto space, but that's going to be, a walled garden within their own doors. It's not going to be, offered to the public, right? JPM coin's just going to be used by JPM. Now we get BlackRock getting into it. We have huge Fidelity exposure into crypto. And not just that, we have tons of other people getting into BNY Mellon, one of the oldest banks in the US, looking to get into custodian services, right? So holding crypto on behalf of clients, right? And that is a huge use case, right? So we're seeing BNY Mellon, BlackRock, Fidelity, and tons of other Bank of America getting into the crypto space, right? They're just foaming at the mouth, can't wait for the regulatory clarity to give the green light. And we still haven't even seen a Bitcoin ETF yet. And then what happened was we had the FTX collapse, right? And it just seemed premeditated, right? And this is, in my opinion, and it was even, they were even meeting with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, right? And we had, Celsius, we had so many crypto collapses go on at the same time, and it just seemed orchestrated, right? Ever since the Super Bowl, when crypto was being promoted, it was just a straight waterfall ever since, right? And then just bear catalyst after bear catalyst, and it just seemed orchestrated. It seemed like it was planned, right? To get the absolute most blood in the market as possible. So these incumbents, right after FTX collapses, right after Celsius, right after Terra Luna, all these companies like BlackRock and BNY Mellon started announcing crypto plans, right? Isn't that funny how that happens? Is because they're coming in and they're buying it for pennies on the dollar. And this is just, a natural occurrence. Look at the .com days. Pets.com didn't stand the test of time, right? The real winners in the .com and in the technology sphere and internet 1 and 2.0, they didn't come right away, right? It took many years later before we found out who the real winners were, like the Amazons, the Apples, and the Googles of the world, right? And the Facebooks. But that all came later, right? And they were able to buy it pennies on the dollar. Amazon dropped 95% in 2000 after the 2000 bubble burst in the .com era, right? And .com bubble. So again, just doesn't this sound eerily similar, right? Pfizer bets big on medical MJ with $6.7 billion acquisition, right? That's with a B. Billion with a B, 6.7 billion. I used to work for a pharmaceutical company that was big into opioids as well. And what do we know about the opioid crisis, right? That was a huge problem, right? And now pharmaceutical companies are scrambling to try to get into, whether it be CBD or just the MJ space at large, as a way to combat that loss in revenue from the opioid crisis, right? And there's even, tons of articles saying, is medical MJ the answer to the opioid crisis? Tons of results and new research suggests that yes, it could be. And tons of, patients who are on opioids saying that yes, this really does help. Whether it be one compound like CBD or versus a mix. Again, there's still very early on to tell, but the fact that it is a substitute again is another reason for big pharma to be threatened by this. We also know that Altria, a huge cigarette manufacturer in the U.S., how they're becoming a top MJ company. We know that British American Tobacco took a stake in Organigram, a Canadian producer here in Canada. And it's just, those are the ones with the most to lose, right? People are trying to be more healthy. They're trying not to smoke tobacco. They're trying to maybe smoke some MJ, maybe ingest some MJ. They don't want to smoke at all because, like, if you're like me, you want to be more healthy and you're not trying to put smoke at all of any kind into your lungs. You're trying to do more edibles. And then not only that, that's also going to hurt the big alcohol industry, right? Because people are being more, even myself, trying to consume less alcohol, trying to consume more cannabis beverages, right? So again, this is just the incumbents, right? Big alcohol, big pharma, big tobacco. Those are the companies that have the most to lose. And when do you think they want to get in? Do you think they want to get into the space when we're at all-time highs? Or do you think they want to see the market completely get demolished and then buy on pennies on the dollar and come in at rock bottom prices, right? Just like crypto, just like when we saw crypto prices go to the quote unquote go to the moon, then we had the, all the turmoil and the bankruptcies and the FTXs of the world go down. Then they were able to come in. Then BlackRock starts to get in. Then the BNY Mellons, right? Then they scoop it up for pennies on the dollars, and then we see the same thing with MJ. That's why it's taking so long for MJ stocks to bottom out, in my opinion, is because we're starting to see the industry it's being slowed down. We're starting to see companies get positioned, and they're finding out a way how, big alcohol, big pharma, big tobacco, the ones with the most to lose, they're figuring out a way to get into the space, right? So again, just what I think. I'm not an expert by any means on big pharma, big alcohol, big tobacco, but I know enough to know to be dangerous. And like I said, I've seen this game played for over a decade now, going on 15 years in my investment career and finance career. And nothing surprises me at this point anymore, but also able to recognize things in different industries, right? It's okay to compare things even though they're not exact apple to apples, because it is very similar, right? So going at it there, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rob with Power Group. If you could smash the like on your way out, I would appreciate it. Share the video with anybody that might find value, and we'll see you again on the next update.